Hi. Okay, so welcome to lesson 4 of Self-Love 101. What we're going to talk about in this lesson is we're going to determine and analyze various aspects of what it looks like to be in a healthy relationship and compare it to what it looks like to be in an unhealthy or toxic relationship and take those conceptions of the two ideals and basically decipher an outcome. And the ultimate outcome is to see clearly what it means and what it looks like to love yourself versus not love yourself, what it means to love and be loved, right? So in this first whatever section of this lesson, I want to share with you just a couple of, I just Googled toxic relationships and there, the images on toxic relationships. And I found a couple that will help us dive a little deep into what it looks like to be in a toxic relationship, right? So you don't know unless you know. Of course, some of this stuff is a little cliche because people overuse it, right? But if you're not in a place in your life where you're ready, willing, and able to make the changes necessary to abandon or cut out all toxic relationships, then it's going to sound more and more cliche. And really, that's your ego telling you, it's a lie that your ego tells you when you find it's cognitive dissonance, where you find discomfort in talking about or learning or being made aware of toxicity in your relationships when you know that you are currently in one, and your ego will say, oh, it's so cliche. And that is the first indicator that your subconscious mind is trying to keep you safe from acknowledging that you're in a toxic relationship or have several. Usually somebody that is in one toxic relationship has several around them. Let's dig in and find out. Okay, so this one, and it was found on We Heart It, 8 toxic people you should just get rid of. Number 1, those who spread negativity. These are the gossipers, okay? If people are gossiping about you in any way, shape, or form, cut them out now, okay? They're spreading negativity. Those who criticize you all the time. Oh, let me go back to number 1. If they're gossiping about other people and what's going wrong in other people's lives, they're still spreading negativity. And if they do it to them, they'll do it to you. I digress. Number 2, those who criticize you all the time. Okay, so you ever have that friend that just always says, why is your hair like that? Why are you wearing that? Well, you really do. That thing that you do is so annoying. Or it might be a parent. They never acknowledge what you do right. They're always constantly pointing out what's wrong, what you do wrong. So you don't even have to do it wrong. It's just wrong by their book. This is that J, the judgment in their personality, right? They're judging you because you didn't do something the way they may have done it. It's so toxic. Okay? Those who waste your time. There is no other bigger pet peeve than mine. In real estate, it used to drive me bonkers when I would sit in my car and wait for a buyer to show up. Absolutely bonkers. Or if we had an appointment, sit in my office and just wait and wait and wait. Or even in mortgages, if my processor needed to get back to me on a certain time and I had to wait and wait and wait, and they said they'd have it by a certain time and didn't deliver, you could see the devil come out in me. It is one of the most largest pet peeves I have. It is so disrespectful to waste other people's time, and it's so disrespectful for other people to waste your time. Communication is key with respect to time, okay? Those who are jealous, okay. I literally had this conversation with my son today, okay? Jealous, envious. I'm gonna cut it to you straight. And I'm going to do a video about this on Keeping It Real, which will be under Keeping It Real with Seanna, which will be under 3 minutes long. Okay. I'm going to bring it to you straight. If you have ever been referred to as a prophet, an old soul, an angel, divine, awakened, a light worker, a spiritual healer, a healer, somebody that focuses on what everything that comes out of their mouth is for the greater good, right? This individual, and there's millions of people, empaths, people that, social workers, people that volunteer for good causes and donate to good causes. These individuals light. There is a light inside of them. Artists, musicians, which brings me to my son. Musicians, artists, writers, creators of any kind. If the work that they are doing is helping other individuals change their perception of an experience, this is what I'm doing, is creating, right? If anybody in your environment is helping other people, heal people, bring them through the darkness so they can get to their own light. If there are people in your environment that are doing that, then it would be no surprise to also know and notice that most people hate them, whether they've met them or not. Divine individuals have people that are light workers, empaths, people that value humanity and the greater good and socialism and fairness and justice and balance. People that value those things they are affected the deepest. They are affected in the deepest way. They take on the news, excuse me, the news and other negativity like politics or racism or sex trafficking. It gets into their bloodstream and it affects their emotional happiness, their peace. It kind of penetrates their whole being in a negative way. So when you are around a jealous person, or you are trying to figure out why so-and-so is jealous of so-and-so, and it's obvious, they're on social media dogging the hell out of this person, and you can't figure out why, right? Well, clearly, if there's any physical differences in that person versus the other person, then it's clear. But it's deeper than that, right? What it is one person that has all of this going on for them. They're light, they're empath, they're a light worker, they're a divine soul. They have a greater good mentality, right? If the light were to show the darkness a mirror, the darkness would not like what they see, right? I don't know if I'm using the right analogy, but if you were to take a flashlight and shine it on a shadow in the dark, the shadow would disappear, right? So the light workers and Etel, they literally walk around with a mirror on their forehead, okay? Proverbial mirror on their forehead. Because my light shines so bright, for example, I tend to bring out, make other people notice what's wrong inside of them. And I was explaining this to my son, that he has a light. And if I have this conversation with my daughter, she's 12 all the time. You have a light inside of you. If you bring that light around darkness, low vibrational people, they're not going to like it. It's intimidating. It's threatening. It scares them, because it literally, like a mirror, makes them see what's wrong with them. So if you have that friend that is constantly like, got a new car, you probably should have spent your money on something else. Or, oh, you cut your bangs? Oh God, girl, somebody lied to you. That does not look good. Or, my, you're gaining weight. Like, exactly. Their attempt at putting you down any way, any reason they can find, any reason. They'll even make up shit, okay? They'll make up an entire story. Somebody I knew for 35 years made up an entire story about why they can't be friends with me. Why don't you just kick rocks? Because I don't want to be your friend either. If this is how you're going to treat me, if this is how you're going to see me, if this is the light that you're going to just deflect my light and make me feel bad about myself by making some shit up. Bye. Bye. Sorry to break it to you, honey, but you're a side chick. Bye. Anyway, so jealous people have real poison inside of them. And my son said to me one time, Ma, you can choose to stick your hand in the fire, or you can step back and watch it burn. Well, I took what he said to me today and added another sentence to it. Son, you can choose to stick your hand in the fire, step back and watch it burn, or look away. You don't need to subject yourself to such toxicity all the time, right? At all, ever. And in the world of the empath and the creator, we need to keep up to date with social media, politics, diversions, socialism, war, justice, peace. We need to keep up to date with that kind of stuff, just so we can impact others with what we create. Super, super double-edged sword there for the light worker in the world, right? So those who are jealous, those who play the victim all the time are super toxic, okay? Why don't you step out of that victim mentality and look at yourself to see what was your behavior or your decision that led to that outcome. So remember, we were talking about the INFP and things that drive me nuts and make me stressed out. It's when people play the victim. I use domestic violence as a thing, but I'm a domestic violence survivor. So, but when I look at people that are still in my environment that are toxic to me, presently toxic to me, I deflect by simply asking them or forcing them by enforcing my own boundaries. I force them to look at themselves in the mirror. Why are you playing a victim? What are you not going to hold yourself accountable for your behavior? What did you do to cause and effect that to happen for you to feel like a victim? Take some responsibility for your reaction, for your actions, your reactions, your emotions, your behavior, how you treat other people. Be responsible. Hold yourself accountable for that. I mean, you're not 12 anymore. Nobody's going to punish you. Be a big boy. Put your big boy panties on. Put your big girl panties on. Hold yourself accountable for the behavior that caused the situation that made you feel like a victim. I chose to be with the husband that abused me. I chose to marry him to make sure that he didn't go back to prison on parole, because he was on parole when he put his hands on me. I chose to marry him to stop him from going back to prison for 5 years backup time. That is why I married him. So when I suffered the consequences of being financially screwed for 2 years after the divorce, and for him financially abusing me for the year we were married, I can't blame him. He was getting his. He took what he felt that he was entitled to. But I gave it, right? I gave it. Nobody, there is no excuse for abuse. No excuse for him putting his hands on me. No excuse for him spitting loogies in my face. No excuse for him slandering me on social media. My reaction after my decision to leave, my reaction after him spitting on me, my reaction after him putting his hands on me, breaking my walls up, throwing my phones, touching my daughter, my reaction to what he did time and time again is what I faced when I started the journey of healing. My inaction to enforce my boundaries is what hurt the most in my experience of being in a domestic violence situation. Over and over and over again, I'll add. Okay. So, those who don't care, if they don't care, you're wasting your time, money, energy, effort, love. You're wasting everything about you on dealing with somebody that just don't give a shit. If they don't give a shit, it's not for you to make them care. That's on them. What they care about is their issue. What they don't care about is their issue, right? If they don't care, keep it moving, right? Self-centered. If it's all about them, for the love of God, nothing is about you. Nothing. Self-centered, selfish people. I'm sorry if I'm working my ass off and because my other part, my romantic partner, my significant other, chooses not to work his ass off, but I'm paying all the bills, but I don't have anything left over for me. It's selfish on his part for not stepping up to the plate for his family, right? Super selfish on his part for not doing what's fair and just in that household, right? It's my fault for allowing it to happen. Yes, my fault. I had to heal from that. I was accountable to myself for allowing myself in my life for that to happen. When I walked away from that marriage, I had nothing. When I was in the marriage, I had millions. The market crashed, but whatever. Okay, so those who keep disappointing you, okay? If people keep canceling plans over and over and over again, they were responsible for sending out birthday party invitations to your birthday party and didn't send any. They constantly fail to fulfill the promises that they make for you. They, disappoint you by not having your back in a social environment where your coming to your defense was absolutely appropriate and the right thing to do as a friend or that person in that dynamic, in that relationship. It's like your best friend getting bullied and watching and doing nothing. No, that don't involve me. I'm staying out of it. I'm staying out of it. That's toxic. Okay? Or how about you are in an environment like Walmart getting toilet paper during the pandemic, okay? If somebody pushes you out of the way and you're there with your husband or your wife and there isn't any confrontation going on except for you and the person that pushed you, but your spouse is standing there like, I'm not getting involved. That is toxic. Okay? All right. So that is just one little slide on 8 people that you should get rid of right now, today. No holds barred. Let's get rid of them. Okay? So that is that. If there's people in your life that remind you of any of those 8 things, write them down on a sheet of paper and in the relationships one by one. One by one. Okay? So what it means to love unconditionally in a healthy relationship. This is going to be a big one. It's a big one. Okay? What it means to love unconditionally would be, it would literally look like your boundaries are set. They're enforced. Okay? Each person in the partnership or friendship or relationship with a parent, coworker, boss, each person understands what those boundaries are. They fully understand them. Your employer, unless you are commission work or it's a freaking emergency, your employer calling you at 11:30 at night on a Tuesday or on Sunday, okay? That's crossing a boundary. Is it not? Nobody's at work. Why are you calling me? It couldn't wait until tomorrow? Oh, you have this, that, and the other to do tomorrow? Well, I'm with my family. I am relaxing and decompressing from the long work week. You found it appropriate to steal that from me and then expect me to do my best tomorrow at work? That's crossing boundaries, is it not? It absolutely is. Okay? So that's a disruptive employer example. What about what it means to be loved? So you have a relationship with your son, okay? Or your daughter, but I'll just use son today. My relationship with my son, we sometimes butt heads on certain topics, but I know that he's young, right? His brain isn't fully developed. He doesn't fully understand good, bad, or indifferent, various things of the world, but he's learning, okay? We're all learning, right? But because his brain isn't fully developed, he may not have the emotional intelligence to process certain aspects of negativity or even positivity or indifference, right? And using this example, if I were to say, son, I made this decision in my past because at the time I was working with the cloth that I had been cut from. At the time, I was working from a cloth that was from the bag of rocks my parents gave me. So you can't compare me, son, to another person's mother or another father, your father. You can't compare me and your father from the same cloth. His family was different than my family. It's unfair of you to compare me with an individual that had a better upbringing and better. There's a perspective shift here. I'm not saying anybody's family is perfect. Nobody's family is perfect. Okay. But my decision processes versus his father's decision processes would be vastly different, especially since my brain wasn't fully developed when I married him. And I literally did not know who I am at the time that I conceived my child. So I didn't know who I am until 2 years ago. My son will be 21 at the end of October. Okay. So he is looking at it, like looking at his mom and the path that I was on gaining all those experiences, like I'm some psycho. Like, how did you not know that dating that dude was going to get you financially stuck? Or that he would put his hands on you? How did you not know that? Come on. Now, he's a rational thinker. Okay. I'm not. I think for the greater good. I literally was helping the person that was hurting me by marrying him to keep him out of federal prison because he was going to go back. I also paid for his lawyer. His legal defense that would have put him back in prison. That's an example. Why was I dating somebody on parole in the first place? That is the question that I had to answer for myself. Okay. So, and don't get me wrong. I'm not saying all parolees have, darkness inside of them. I'm not stereotyping that by any means. But what I'm saying is, why was I in that situation? And why did I not investigate further this man's personality and how compatible or incompatible we might be before marrying him? That's what I'm saying. Okay. So diving a little deeper, what it looks like to be loved and to love unconditionally. I come at my son like, you have gifts. You're a songwriter. You're an artist. You make music. You're a musician and a very talented lyricist. Okay. It would be my conditional love in this scenario to force him to go to college for psychology because it's what I'm passionate about, instead of following and supporting him and guiding him and financially helping him get the musical tools that he needed to mix music and write music and give him the time and space to be himself, to create. Conditional love would have been for me to force upon him my ideals, to glorify myself for what I wanted and didn't get out of life. Unconditional love for him would be, I support you. I will spend the money necessary to make sure you, son, have the tools needed to make your music. I will make sure that you have the confidence in yourself and your abilities to pursue your dreams. I will not steal them from you, even when there are aspects of our dynamic or my history that he doesn't agree with. Whether he doesn't understand it, whether he does understand it, I love him unconditionally. So I will accept where he is in his perception and not be offended by it. Sure, it hurts. Sometimes my son says some pretty fucking hurtful shit. but I accept, feels horrible, but I accept where he is in his time and place of understanding. Let's take it to a romantic relationship. Let's talk about another dynamic, okay? Loving yourself is enforcing the boundaries that make you not be a doormat, okay? If you are allowing your other half, your romantic partner, to walk all over you, verbally, physically, financially, emotionally, verbally. My ex-husband called me a cunt in front of my daughters at least 1,000 times in a year. Whore, cunt, bitch. Completely against my values. So if you were in a situation where your boundaries were being crossed, loving yourself is having boundaries in the first place. You teach others how to treat you. So in a situation where your partner is being disrespectful to you, not respecting your boundaries is disrespecting you, dishonoring you as a person, making you feel less than and unworthy of having respect. That is the definition of respect. To consider one to be worthy of having it is the definition of respect, right? So to love others unconditionally in this context, you would literally be allowing them the freedom, time and space to be free, to be who they are, to be what they're going to become, what they want to become. It is not controlling them into some 3D dynamic of what the rules are, or what the rules look like on the planet or in the United States even. Okay? So if you allow yourself to be with somebody that always needs different flavors of the week, if you will, they're addicted to other women. They're addicted to the chase. They're addicted to, variety. Variety is the spice of life, right? And you're a woman that's just not into sharing. Does not place any value to you, that's disloyal. Now, if you are a woman that believes free love, make love, not war, let's, sure, you be you. You are loving your person unconditionally. But what happens when they do it behind your back? How do you feel then? There's a level of communication there. What happens when that person does it behind your back and cheats on you? Boy, now they've crossed your boundaries. And you were a free loving soul, loving your partner unconditionally. But they've crossed your boundaries. Give them an inch, they take a mile. That's a toxic person. They've disrespected you. Staying with that person is not loving you. It's not loving yourself. Loving them, send them love and send them on their way. But don't let them back in because they've disrespected you. Now, we're not talking about unforgiveness. You want to forgive your spouse for being disloyal and cheating on you? Forgive them. But forgive them for you. Don't forgive them for them. You don't want to give a cookie to a bad boy, do you? Do you give a kid a reward for being bad? It's the same concept. Different strokes for different folks. So unhealthy and toxic, the conception, I should say the misconception of staying in an unhealthy and toxic relationship is that it's loyal and loving. That's a misconception. It's loyal and loving to whom? To the person that's violating you? I hope that you found tremendous value in this course, and I will be recording more content for you. Not sure what's next, but I think that this has been a good one. So, love you so much. Please make sure to like, subscribe, follow me on YouTube, R Squared, register for some courses. I think I'm going to have some, there might be some pre-registrations available. I will always make my courses, if I can, I will always make my personal development courses free or payment optional with a PayPal link inside of the last lesson, the very bottom of the course. Okay. So I love you. Please like, share, subscribe, share this with somebody that needs it. Love you always. Peace. Namaste.